This video is a workshop that will show you how to create inside-out transformation. The concepts I share in this workshop are exactly what took me back in 2017 from a 9-to-5 job goer selling women's shoes into a full-time YouTuber within 6 months. This is also the same technique that is backed by that of pretty much all personal development at its core. Books like Atomic Habits, obviously the book of Psycho-Cybernetics. These are life-changing books that share one quality that if you apply in your life will completely transform it from the inside out. Now, this is a total workshop that I am putting on YouTube for free. Now, if there's one ask I have of you, it's that you watch the workshop and you do the meditation that's towards the end of it. The meditation will help you to literally wire in a new self-image, because the truth is, everything in your life is a reflection of the self-image you have of who you are and how you relate to other people in your life. This is why many people create surface level change and fall back to old patterns. They don't create that of deep identity level change and transformation. Well, I don't just show you how to do it in this video with step-by-step processes of how to do it, but I also give you a meditation for tapping into your own subconscious mind so that it reveals to you the past patterns that you can let go of, and it shows you how to embark on a literal new version of you. So this is something that the people that joined live in one of my 21-day challenges. It was so powerful for people, and I saw so many people that had huge breakthroughs from the meditation and the workshop that I'm deciding to put it out on YouTube for free. So that's this video, this workshop. Listen to it at the end. Really don't skip around in it. Everything leads to the level of awarenesses of unlocking different parts of your own identity throughout that of the workshop. And the meditation literally is the most important part of it, of really wiring it in at the end. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed the workshop, and I'll see you on the other side. The self-image that you have on the inside of yourself, of how you view yourself, is the parameters and the box that you think, feel, and act in. So when you hear Joe Dispenza talk about your personality creates your personal reality, personality is how you think, feel, and act. And what happens is, based on the inner self-image we have, we are experiencing a reality that is equal to that. Now, this, by the way, also explains why many people have trouble transforming their lives. Because most people, when I talk about inside-out transformation, inside-out transformation is about getting to the core of the inside of yourself, unleashing a new awareness, a new insight, a new choice about who you are, and then noticing a difference on the outside. Because the outside is simply a reflection of the inside. This is why it is said that you don't get in life that which you want, because what you want, you lack. If you want love, it's only because you don't currently have it. If you had love or realized love, you wouldn't want it. Which is funny. We'll get into that in a little bit though. But in general, what I share with you in this workshop will help you understand more about how to create deep, permanent identity level change, and how whatever you seek on the outside is immediately further away. How once you realize it within yourself, then you will experience it in your reality. Manifestation is not something you create. It is something you realize. It is something you unleash and become. Even when we think of what quantum physics is showing us, think about this like a television set. Think of a television set that is on channel, say you're only tuned to the History Channel. Constantly tuned to the History Channel. Constantly focus on what's happened in the past. You'll continue to only perceive and have a mind that is wired to the things and the patterns of the past. You can't create anything new from watching the History Channel. However, what if instead of looking at the History Channel, you were able to tune to the energy of your highest excitement, of a new version of you? And imagine that as you do that, you're in the unknown and you can then create something more magical. Now, here's the interesting thing. Both those realities already exist. This is what quantum physics is showing us, is that these realities all exist right here, right now. So funny enough, there is probably a version of me that is still lost back in 2017, not lost, but still in 2017 when I was working a 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes. There is probably a version of me that is still selling women's shoes that never got out of it, where my identity stayed the same. My self-image was tuning to that version of me. It still exists. And then I made a choice and I started to see myself differently. I made a choice about who I am and started creating change from the inside out. Now, the outside in way is where people create different changes in habits. This right here is called the Robert Dilts Logical Levels of Change. It's NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Tony Robbins teaches this. A lot of other teachers teach this. But basically, if you imagine that of a pyramid, you'll see environment, behaviors, skills, beliefs, and then identity. When you talk about that of a book that went mega viral, Atomic Habits, who's read Atomic Habits? What you'll notice about that book is it's not about necessarily getting the habit of not smoking. That's a habit. That's like a behavior. It's about not seeing yourself as a smoker. When you don't see yourself as a smoker, it will be very easy for you to make the shift. If you do the habit, but you don't change your identity, that's where people fall back to the old. This is why a lot of people do not create permanent level change. They are focused on habits, behaviors, changing their environment, the skills, even beliefs. But when you get to your identity, this is when things really shift for you from the inside out. When I think to myself, when it comes to even back in probably 16, anytime I've quit certain substances, for example, it has been extremely easy for me because I literally take my identity out of it. I remember back in 2016, when I had that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, every time it was December, working in retail, selling a commission-based job, December was the busiest month. It was like working 60 hours a week, running around constantly, helping lots of different customers. Normally there was a sale going on, so you'd have to do like double the work for half the money because all these shoes are half off. And what would happen is every time during December, I was so busy, but we made good money that month, what we consider to be good money. Now what happened is I would then, to compensate for that energy, I would drink a crap ton of caffeine. At my peak, I would go into work, I would get a 4-shot of espresso right when I got in. Then I would work, and then at lunch break, I'd get another quad, and then sometimes I would have a sugar-free Red Bull. This is at my peak. It was a lot. Then what happened is after weeks of doing this, what I realized is the main time I would have so much caffeine that I would be taking was during December, because then in January, it got extremely slow in retail. So you work, and then all of a sudden you have January, it slows down. And then my body got so used to so much caffeine that then I didn't need it anymore, because now I'm just sitting around all day. Why would I have a whole bunch of caffeine and just be wired when there's nothing to do? And I would crash, exactly. So what happened is I would do this every year, and I was aware of it. And then what happened is one time, after to really transform and to create identity shift, a lot of times, there's a certain level of pain that normally comes before someone really makes a choice, because that pain allows you to then have a reason to make the choice. So what I did is I simply, at one point also, it got so much with caffeine that I was taking these, I'd go to this place called Teavana, which was owned by Starbucks back in the day, but it was like this tea place. I'd get this matcha drink that had so much matcha in it. It was a tea with so much matcha that people that I worked with called it swamp water, because it had chunks of green matcha in it. I would literally tell the people that work there, like, put so much matcha in it that you think it's disgusting. Like, you don't think anyone would ever drink this. And she would put, the lady would put that much matcha in, and then I had chunky matcha, and I would drink it. That's how intense it was. Just to kind of paint the picture here. But then what happened is, learning everything I learned about all this, one day in January, I was like, you know what? Every single year I crash. So one year, I used to decide, you know what? I'm never going to drink caffeine again. And I saw myself as someone that just doesn't need caffeine. I saw myself as someone that just naturally has good energy, that's able to draw upon energy when I want it. And I no longer saw myself and had the story of, I'm a coffee drinker. I just love coffee. I just love the taste of coffee. I just love this. I didn't let any story make up a part of my identity. I just let it go. Once I let that identity go, I quit. Within a couple, maybe there was some withdrawals for a couple days, but even as I felt the withdrawals, I realized that's my past version of self. And then I never drank caffeine again. Literally, I have not had caffeine since 2016. And the reason being is because I let go of it, part of my identity. Now, when I really learned about this, though, when we talk about, now, every moment you're a new you. Every moment you're a new you. Every moment you're a new you. So when you tell yourself a story, I'm a smoker, I'm a drinker, I'm a 9-to-5 job goer, and you stay attached to the story, it keeps you locked in that reality. Now think of this too when it comes to your identity. Your identity is what you commit to. What are you committed to? Your identity is also your comfort zone. Your comfort zone. You think, feel, and act equal to your comfort zone. Now, what's funny, and we're going to get into some quantum techniques here in a little bit that I think can really shift your life in a very powerful way, but this is the more practical side of things. Now, if you see yourself as able to make $50,000 a year, you will think, feel, and act equal to that $50,000 a year version of you. And then you may get to a wall, get to a ceiling. I realized this when I sold women's shoes, by the way. I would always make about the same amount per year. Even if in the second or third month I had a really big month and really good momentum, it's almost like it would balance back out by the end of the year. And I would make about the same amount every year. Now, one of the times I really learned about this idea was when I was working at Nordstrom's in women's shoes back in 2012. This is right before my spiritual awakening. And what happened is I read a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. This is a book from someone that was that of a doctor, a plastic surgeon actually, that realized people did not feel different about themselves even if they had major restructuring like surgery. The only time they would really experience fulfillment or thinking of themselves different is if they change their inner self-image. We all have an inner self-image that we are fighting subconsciously for to remain consistent to. This is why sometimes people keep fixing their face, because they believe it's broken, and then it just gets to an insane part where it's like, they may look back and be like, and you're like, what are you fixing? You look great. But there's this, if that inner self-image doesn't change, we'll keep trying to change the outer image. So back in 2012, this is when I realized Psycho-Cybernetics. I read about this concept in that book, which is all about that. And it basically, the way that it describes it is, think of it as that of, you have that of a thermostat that's set to 70 degrees. Now, it's set at 70 degrees. If the window's open or the door opens and it's cold out, the heater will come on to bring it back to 70. Now, what happens is it's set at 70. Even if it gets a 75, the whatever will come back on to bring it back to 70, whatever the temperature is from where you're from. Now, there's also an identity that we have with being a 70-degree type person. I see myself as a 70-degree type person. So the cool thing with that is if you lose something or something happens in your life, it'll be very easy for you to get back to being a 70-degree person. However, sometimes where people self-sabotage themselves is they get to 72, they get to 73, they get to 74, and they say, I'm a 70-degreer, and they bring it back down. So you may have had times where maybe you were in toxic relationships, and maybe that's the 70 degrees. And then you meet someone that's awesome, and you start to feel a certain way, but then you kind of sabotage it. Or you feel like the chemistry is just off, or something happens where then you bring it back down or you sabotage it out. Exactly. It's a set point. So what you want to do is become aware of what is your set point. Now, when I was working that 9-to-5 job at Nordstrom's, my set point was every day I would go in and I noticed that I saw myself as only able basically to be an average sales employee. I would see that of the sales from the day before, because it was listed out every day of all the salespeople. I was always right in the middle. Wasn't at the top, wasn't at the bottom, right in the middle. So when I was reading Psycho-Cybernetics, I started to ask myself, what is my inner self-image? And I realized I'm an average sales employee. I'm not bad. I never had to worry about losing my job, but I'd have certain good days, but they weren't consistent. The people that were at the top were consistent. So what I eventually did is I started to use what I'm about to share with you here in a little bit, which is the as-if technique. Now, this isn't just fake it till you make it, but this is looking at your identity and starting to open up the possibility for an as-if version of you. So I started to imagine as if I was a top salesperson. What is the version of Aaron that is the top salesperson think, feel, and act like? I realized some interesting things. The past version of me, the new version of me. I realized that the top sales version of Aaron greets every customer. Doesn't selectively profile like some of the other people that I worked with. Just greets every customer. This version of me focuses on connecting with customers over everything. It's not attached to whether they buy or not. This version of me had a certain level of body language. My heart was out. My posture was great. This version of me had more fun. This version of me even did little things like wrap up after they bought it. They already bought it. I already got the commission for it. I'd put it in the bag and I'd wrap it with tissue in a nice way that was more than anyone else I worked with did. I just put more care and attention into it. And I'd bring it around the thing to them and I'd give it to them. And there was an energy there that was just very different than the version of me that was the average sales employee. So what I did is I would imagine myself at the top of the list. I would think, feel, and act equal to the version of me that would be at the top of the list. And guess what happened within days? I was at the top of the list. And from that moment onwards, I was like, I started to see myself as that. I used my imagination to imagine the as if that version of me, and then I started to be that version of me. Now remember, when we talk about quantum physics, when we talk about what we've been talking with, that 10 to 15 million bits of information are around us at any given moment, what quantum physics is showing us, but we can only perceive of about 40 to 100 bits per second of that information. Imagine that out of the 10 to 15 million bits, you can only perceive of such a tiny little sliver. And your self-image is what's perceiving what is equal to in your reality. Now, eventually what I did is I started to apply this towards years later. I was like, well, if I can do this for becoming a top salesperson, can I do this to get rid of my 9-to-5 job and to do what I love? Yeah, vision is a huge part of this that we're going to talk about in a minute too. So what I did is I started to imagine, here I am now, years later, working at Barney's, New York, still selling women's shoes, part of my identity, thinking, feeling, and acting equal to that. One of the first parts of becoming aware of what your self-image is, by the way, is becoming aware of what is your current life. What are you obviously, if you're working a 9-to-5 job you don't like, then your self-image is that you work a 9-to-5 job you don't like. You're thinking, acting, and feeling equal to that reality. It's sometimes right in front of you. If you have more weight on you than you'd like to have, then there's probably a self-image that you're big boned or have extra weight. Becoming aware of this identity is very important because until you do, it's just this, it's the way reality is. So then what I did is I started to apply the same identity shifting that I'm talking about right now. I started to apply towards being a full-time YouTuber. Once again, working a 9-to-5 job, thinking, feeling, acting equal to that 9-to-5 job, complaining about how slow it was, dealing with corporate politics, which, by the way, self-image, part of my self-image was for a long time having a certain control faction in my reality. Having managers that were very controlling, felt safe and familiar to my childhood, where there was always someone I had to fight against. Interesting, right? Now, when we talk about identity shifting, one of the main components to this whole entire process we want to become aware of is who are we being, and can you give yourself permission to be a new version of yourself? Because in 2017, I started to literally be a full-time YouTuber. That's really what I did. I just imagined the imagination once again, the full-time version of me, how I would think, feel, and act, and then I started to be it. I gave myself permission to be it. Within 6 months, my entire life transformed. So what we'll notice as well is a big part of this process is becoming aware of the values that we have. Everyone write down values. What do I value? Now, a value is a virtue that you deem as important. Values make up our identity. Values make up our identity. Now, there are values. Tony Robbins will say that there's 6 values. There's that of significance. There is that of connection or love. There is that of certainty and uncertainty. And there is that of growth and contribution. Now, what happens a lot of times, we might be in a 9-to-5 job and very much value certainty. And then wanting to get into that of a new version of ourselves, but be afraid because that is uncertain. And we may fear uncertainty because in childhood, uncertainty meant pain. We may want significance. Significance and love and connection are opposite sides in a way. If we didn't feel love growing up, we may crave significance. Feeling chosen, given attention. Certainty and uncertainty. Uncertainty is adventure, can be fun. If you had certainty for so long, you'd eventually get bored. And then growth and contribution. Growing is very much a very positive thing. Contribution is when you're able to give into reality. Now, we're going to get, in a couple minutes, we're going to get into the quantum side of this. Now, there's a few simple steps to this process that you want to become aware of. So I did this back in that of 2012, went from 9-to-5 to being on YouTube. All I did was I shifted my identity. I would do meditations where I'd imagine that version of me, and then I would let go of the past version of me. And I realized some interesting things about this identity shift as well. One thing I realized was the 9-to-5 job going version of me, I could say, oh, that's fake for me to be a YouTuber. It's fake for me to be a top salesperson. I'm an average, mediocre salesperson. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a 9-to-5 job goer. But when I really look at it, I was working a job I hated, pretending to sell like I liked selling women's shoes. If anything, I saw that as more fake. I said, actually, this, even though it's more uncertain, this is the real me. Yeah, it scares me a little bit to put myself out there, but this is the real me. And that really shifted my energy in a powerful way, that realization. So now I'm even doing this going from YouTube to live events. So YouTube, there's this energy of I'm shifting just from seeing myself as a YouTuber to now running live events. So how would the version of me that's running live events think, feel, and act? How often would I do live events? What would my energy about them be? These are things that I'm looking at that I'm embodying now to shift into this new version of me. Now, the values that we're talking about, we'll talk about that in a minute because we're going to take this quantum, all right? Now, the three simple step process we're going to look at is the first step is always awareness. Everyone type in awareness. Awareness. 90% of all transformation is awareness. Once I became aware I was being a mediocre employee, I had the awareness to then let that go and then be a new version of myself. Once I became aware that I'm thinking, feeling, and acting equal to this 9-to-5 job I'm not that passionate about, what I then did is I started to be a new version of myself, selling, like actually, instead of selling women's shoes, making YouTube videos, thinking, feeling, and acting equal to that. So in general, understand that awareness is always the first step. You're becoming aware of where your 70 degree is. All right? This doesn't have to be a judgment thing where you shame yourself. I'm just saying awareness. Now, go ahead and type in and begin to ponder. What are you aware of with the current older identity that you have, which is just a reflection of the past? They say, I read this recently, I think it was a Mark Manson quote or something, but it says basically who you are right now is an echo from 2 years ago, in the sense that as you make a change, it takes about 2 years for everything to really completely catch up. You can say, well, that's a limiting belief. You're a new you every moment, which could also be true. But in general, it's like we're shedding and letting go. It's almost empowering because it's like we're shedding and letting go of the outdated parts of ourselves now. So it's like we haven't even really completely catched up to ourselves yet. But what is your current identity that's maybe outdated? The current part of yourself that maybe you're becoming aware of right now, that you weren't aware of before. And begin to become aware of what that is. You can type it in the chat if you want. Person with no boundaries. Interesting. Now let's look at that. A person with no boundaries. Let's look at that. We may have an identity as being someone without boundaries because back when we were a kid, it may have been not safe to set boundaries. If when you were a kid, you had to tune to other people to get your validation, to get your needs met, to feel significant and safe, or even to feel connection, you may value other people's approval or validation, and valuing other people's approval and validation kept you safe as a kid. However, to really create a shift, a very powerful thing to do is to become aware of that old value and then to choose a new one. Back in the day, that was something I had to shed. I had to shed that of a people-pleasing pattern where I would find myself trying to please other people in my life. Now, interestingly enough, growing up, I had the ex-stepmom in my life from 7 to 15 years old who was very controlling. But my job from 7 to 15 was to please her, to be not to act out of line, to do exactly what she wanted. So I had to constantly tune myself to an emotionally unstable woman to then decide how do I need to be in order to feel safe. What happens is people pleasers normally come from originally being parent pleasers. But what I realized is by living according to that value, I became aware of it. Always the first step, become aware of it. And then I saw it as the past version of me. I saw it as in a way as the past version of me that was trying to get my needs met. But what ended up happening is I started to more so see that it was so inauthentic, that the way I was being was inauthentic. I was tuning my vibration to other people and I wasn't authentically being myself. And I remember that in that part of my life, I was in some situations that were very reflective of a certain energy, where I would bend myself to other people that I saw as an authority. I'd find it hard to set boundaries with friends or people that wanted me to do certain things. And then what happened is I woke up to this. And at first I was kind of mad at my past self. I was mad at all the things that I did and all the times I abandoned myself. But then what I did is I made a new choice about what I really value. And what I really valued was authenticity. I said, from this moment going forward, I'm going to value authenticity. And I remember the moment that I began valuing authenticity over validation and approval was the moment my life began to shift. That meant, instead of asking myself, how does this other person want me to be to ease tension? I started asking myself, what is the most authentic thing, even if it causes them tension? Now, understand this with identity shifting. Creating a new you will require tension. Tension is not bad. Think of the word intention. Intention. Literally, it says intention in it. And then people say, well, that sounds like a limiting belief. That sounds like a negative thing. I don't want tension. Aaron, why can't it just be roses and sunshine? Tension, the only reason you don't like that is because you think tension is bad. Tension is good. It requires tension to go and step in the unknown. It requires tension to express how you really feel. It requires tension to put yourself out there. Tension is not bad. Tension equals growth. Like I mentioned earlier, the cave you most fear going into is the one which holds the grail. That cave has within it some tension going into the cave. But once you go in, you begin to transform yourself. Tension is good. When I started embracing tension in my life, that was me becoming a new version of me. Now, realize this. Tension is this box. Comfort zone. Here's the crazy thing. There's going to be tension in your life regardless. You just might not be aware of the tension that's in your life, that's you living to a life that you don't prefer. If you work a 9-to-5 job you hate, you might say, there's a lot of tension, Aaron, going to work this passionate job or this way of being that you're talking about. But you're not even aware that to go to a 9-to-5 job you hate, there's tension there already. It's just under the surface, baby. You're just not aware of it because it's under the surface. Think about the tension of living for 20 years a life you don't like. Think of living your whole entire life without actually being the version of you came here to be. Think of the tension that's going to cause. Tension is good. Tension is good. Doesn't mean you're chasing drama. You just have to be honest with yourself. Am I stuck in a box of a comfort zone? Because if you stay thinking, feeling, and acting equal to this comfort zone with the tension under the surface, you're going to stay trapped. Tension is good. Tension causes growth. You are no longer a people pleasers love tension more than anyone. They love tension. They love tension so much they keep it under the surface and they carry it with them everywhere they go. And you can just feel it under their energy field. The reason I'm saying this is I'm helping you become aware. If you are a people pleaser, you think you don't like tension. You do. You like it so much you carry it on the inside. The key is expressing it. How do you really feel? What do you really accept as of how you deserve to be treated? How are you going to treat yourself? Stop abandoning yourself. This is where transformation really begins, is when it's the awareness. When I began expressing boundaries to other people, there were tense conversations I did have to have. I had to backtrack a little bit, but every time I had it, I saw myself differently. Now I'm at a place to where it's much easier for me to have hard conversations with people. It used to be hard, not anymore, because anything you put more reps in becomes easier. The only time when you're shifting your identity it appears to be hard is in the very beginning. If you were to go to the gym for a week, you'd be like, oh my God, this is so hard. And if you did it for a month, you'd be like, oh my God, this is so easy. Because it's part of your identity. People would ask me, how do you make daily videos on YouTube back in 2017? After a month or two of doing it, I'm like, I don't know. It's easy. It's a part of my identity. All it's really necessary for you to shift to a new you is to put in more reps. To make the choice, awareness, make the choice, put in reps. Anything you do consistently gets easier with time. So, when I look at this, you see the second step is to see it as your past self, see it as your past, kind of outdated. The limiting part of you, I guess. Third step is to be. Now we're getting quantum. To be. To be because it's who you choose to be, not to be because of what it'll get you. Now, you can live according to certain values. You can pick the value of leaning into tension, of vulnerability, of authenticity, of courage. I think these are all great values to live by and to commit to them. However, we're going to take this a step further in understanding that what you can begin to do is through the power of meditation, through the power of also a spiritual connection, you don't have to limit yourself to just this. Because this is more of, if I were to do the traditional Tony Robbins way of teaching this, it's matter changing matter. Nothing wrong with it, by the way. I love Tony Robbins. I think what he teaches is amazing. However, we can look at our values, we can change our values, and we can do all that, but I want to take this a step further. At a fundamental core level, when you have a vision that is beyond you, it is amazing what the universe will do to help make that a priority. My vision of doing large group meditations with thousands of people, helping them to transform their life through their own energy, through using the power of a group, and then changing the planet, that is a vision of mine. It is a vision of mine that is rooted in wanting to help me change my life and everyone else change their lives, and the collective changing and raising its vibration. Because that intention is to help a lot of people, the universe sends me resources, sends me insights, sends me books, sends me different things to help make this a reality. At the true fundamental level, you could be one old identity, become a new identity, but at the fundamental core, you are God source energy pretending to be a human in a little ego body. What if there's a step beyond this where you become nothing? You look at Joe Dispenza's teachings, all about becoming nothing, no thing, nowhere, no place, to then become anything. So we can create a new identity, be like, well, my old values are significance and certainty and this and that, and now I want to be like growth and contribution. Let me change that. Or you can realize every moment you're a new you, you are source energy. Even if you were to pretend to be those values for a while, it'd still be a limitation. You are a new you. You are a new you. You are a new you. Every moment is a new moment. Every moment you're a new version of you. The only thing that keeps you stuck is you believe you are stuck. Your identity might be that you're stuck. You thinking, feeling, and acting equal to that. But every moment you're new you. You're continuing to choose being stuck. Part of the trick of enlightenment, when you read about it, I'm not enlightened, I'm just saying, that when you look at Osho and all these other people that have had either enlightening experiences, I know that's more controversial, but other people, they say enlightenment is a realization. It's not an attainment. And they say a lot of times, it's silly. You silly goose, trying to get enlightened. People seek so much being enlightened, not realizing it's our natural state of being. It's source energy flowing through us. It's every moment you're a new version of you. You being present to the moment is you not limiting yourself. If every moment you're a new you and every moment you're free, literally you're free right now. You're free right now to be whoever you choose to be. The only thing that's holding you back is your story, your identity that is insisting in this old reality. You're free. You're free. You can go right now and recreate the same identity that you were before you watched this live. But if it was a limiting one that you don't prefer, then why do it? You're free. You are free. You are free right now to be who you choose to be. Every moment you're a new you. You could say become nothing, and in meditation we are able to shift into a state of being no thing in this visceral realm. You are who you choose to be. You are who you choose to be. You are free right now. Now, treat every moment as if you chose it. Treat every moment as if you chose it. This moment, this moment, this moment. Treat it as you chose it. There won't be any resistance. If you're choosing, you say, well, I have a limiting 9-to-5 job I have to go to. You're choosing that reality. There's two levels to that. You can either choose to go to the job because you realize you can choose to enjoy it. My last 3 months of having that 9-to-5 job, I knew I was not going to work in it that much longer, but I focused on enjoying it, being present with it. The other aspect is you say, I have to go to my job because I have bills. I have to. In your current identity, that's what you believe you have to do. there is a choice you could just not go in one day. And so I've done that before, just not gone in and then quit a job. And then eventually I figured it out somewhere else. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. I'm just saying the parameter of your identity will tell you and try to keep you where you are with all these but you're choosing it, you're free, but you don't believe it. So therefore, you keep living in the past. You keep living in the past. You're free. So, when we talk about the power of shifting, what we're really doing is shifting out of the past and shifting to a new version of ourselves. Now, as if, this is what you're going to use, as if. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is realizing that every moment you're a new you. And what actually probably was more fake was a limited personality that's coming from a certain ego construct that believes in separation. You want to talk about what's fake? You are an eternal spiritual being living a temporary human experience. You are at one with God. You are connected to everyone here. Yet you're playing a small little game of pretending to be separate from everybody, of pretending to be this little small ego that has little limitations and is so stuck and has all this past from the stuff that's happened in the past. Stop pretending. Stop playing small. Stop avoiding the tension. Stop avoiding the growth. Stop being fake. Because that is more fake than anything. And your small little ego. And then what we think is I'm not worthy. Most people have that wound. I'm not worthy. There's something wrong with me. The universe, in its vastness, God, source, energy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, does not make mistakes. Everything has a purpose. You look out into reality, the grass, the trees, the bees. Without the bees, none of us would be here. The sun, everything has a purpose. And the creation does not make mistakes. So if you exist, you have a purpose. You are not a mistake. Now what happens is when we say, I'm not worthy, we say, I agree, everything else is worthy. Everything else has a purpose. Everything else just is. We'd all agree a baby is worthy, right? A baby's worthy. An animal, a dog is probably worthy, unless you're a cat person. Then a cat is worthy, whatever. Everything worthy as it is. But then we grow up and we develop this separate identity. We believe, I'm not worthy because now I'm not a baby. It's so silly. You are worthy simply for existing. And when we say, I'm the one exception, that's a significance play. It's us trying to feel special, where I'm the one victim mode person that's not worthy. Everything else is worthy but me. It's egocentric. And the reason I'm saying that is to shine some light. You are worthy. You are enough just for being you. You are innately worthy. And the reason I say this is because if your identity says you're broken or there's something wrong with you, it can be hard to attract love. It can be hard to attract new opportunities if you're coming at it from a frame of I'm broken or something wrong with me. So you are worthy. Now, who wants to do a meditation for shifting into this new? So when you say as if, imagine right now the version of you as if you didn't have any of the limiting patterns that you have. Imagine as if you're living your dream life, even components of it. You don't have to know exactly what it is, but use your imagination and trust your imagination. Your imagination is your connection to the divine. So in this meditation, what we're going to do is we're going to begin to bring this as if principle, tuning to this new identity, this new way of being, becoming nothing to then become everything, but then to be who we choose to be. Realize the version of you that is the ideal version of you already exists. The version of you that is less than wherever you are right now, in the sense that maybe it's a more resistant reality exists. They all exist here and now, just like a radio frequency. All the frequencies exist. It's just about tuning to that vibration. A television, tuning to the vibration. There's different channels. We're going to tune now to a channel of you being the ideal version of you. And you're going to shift into it. And you're going to try it on. This meditation is specifically guided to help you tap into the energy of another version of you that already exists in the quantum field, that will allow you to completely shift your sense of self-image, of letting go of self-image altogether, of allowing the divine to flow through you, of allowing you to be at the highest octave vibrational you. So what I'd like to ask you to do is we're going to take in a couple deep breaths in, couple deep breaths out, and allow yourself to relax. Let's go ahead now. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Let it all go. Go and close your eyes. Go ahead and take another deep breath in through your nose. And let it all go. Set the intention that with every breath you take, you feel more and more relaxed. Allowing yourself to relax. Bring your awareness now to a ball of energy, any color that you like, and imagine wherever you bring this ball of energy, it relaxes that part of your body. Bring this ball of energy now to your forehead and imagine any tension releasing, melting away. Bring that energy now to your jaw. Feel your jaw loosen up and relax. Feel the space behind your eyes loosening up and relaxing, melting away any tension. Bring that ball of energy now down your neck into your left arm, your left hand, your right arm, your right hand, bring that ball of energy now into your heart and ask for assistance from your spiritual guides and your higher self in helping you to open up your heart more and more. Feel more love, to be able to give more love from a state of abundance. And bring that energy now down your spine, into your hips, to your left leg and foot, your right leg and foot, and now go ahead and release any excess energy out of your feet. and feel inside of your body. Notice the temperature of the air, the sensation against your back, or the sensation of your body touching wherever you are. Notice how relaxed you feel. Now imagine you're in a beautiful forest. This can be a forest you've been to, or one in your imagination. This is somewhere you can go to explore your inner world. Imagine this forest and begin to see what comes into your awareness. What do you see in this forest? Imagine those colors. Imagine the trees. Imagine the colors becoming brighter and brighter. And now, what do you hear in this beautiful forest? What sounds can you hear? Imagine those sounds becoming louder and louder. And now, how does it feel? What is the temperature of the air? And how do you feel? Now notice off to your left. You see that of a tree that represents your past self. This tree represents everything you are letting go of. Call upon your higher self spiritual guides to help assist you in understanding and making the inner shift to let go of what no longer serves. Now go ahead and walk over to this tree. Take a step, another step, getting closer and closer to this tree. And imagine your higher self and spiritual guides showing you what is it on this tree that you are letting go of within yourself. Maybe there's a symbol or a metaphor hanging on the tree. What is it? What is the message about what you are letting go of? Notice that the leaves on the tree begin to fall down to the ground. And imagine whatever symbol you are giving. If you'd like, you can imagine with the help of your spiritual guides and higher self and transforming that image into something else that is empowering. What could you transform it into? And now you realize that you can walk away from this tree and notice off into the distance there is a beautiful, luscious tree that you intuitively feel is connected to your true core self. Now ask for your higher self and spiritual guides to help assist you in becoming aware of what qualities, what objects are on this tree that represent a part of yourself that you can realize within yourself. Now, take a step toward this tree, another step. With every step you take, you feel more and more connected to this new version of you that you are going to wire in. I'm going to count from 1 to 10. By the time I reach 10, you will be at the front of this tree. 1, 2, every step feeling more and more love, more and more present. 3, doubling the sensation of love in your heart. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, double that sensation, getting closer to this tree now. 9 and 10. Notice this beautiful tree. Notice this tree is connected to you and will give you the qualities that will assist you in being a new version of yourself. Imagine this tree bears fruits that allow you to be a new version of yourself. With your higher self and spiritual guides with you, what is the symbol, object, or energy that is coming off the tree now and given to you? See what comes up. Whatever this is, this energy, imagine as if this is who you are now. What would your life look like? What would you see, hear, and feel? And now, imagine putting whatever this energy is into a ball and putting it into your heart now, knowing from this point going forward, this quality is with you. This is part of you now. See if there's another energy, symbol, object, fruit that the tree wants to give you. Ask your higher self or spiritual guides for clarity if you need it. What is that fruit, quality, energy, object? What is it? And what does it represent to you? And imagine as if you were looking through a new version of you's eyes who has this quality. What would you see? What would you feel? What would you hear? Now go ahead and bring that energy, that object, that fruit, whatever it is, put it into a ball and put it into your heart. Understand it is with you now. It is one with you. Now see if there's one more object, one more piece of fruit, one more energy that comes off of the tree. And if you need clarity or assistance, ask your spiritual guides, higher self, to assist you in understanding what this is. And now, once again, put it into that ball of energy. And imagine yourself as if you have this quality in your reality. What would you see, hear, and feel? And now put that energy into the ball, into your heart, knowing it is now one with you. And now, ask for your higher self and spiritual guides to assist you in bringing in high vibrational energy to this tree as an antenna, then having it connect to the top of your head, going into your heart, and then connecting your heart down to Mother Gaia, to the core of the earth. And ask for assistance in receiving the energy of a new, higher vibrational you. And see, what would that version of you see, feel, hear? Imagine as if you're looking through that version of you's eyes now. Notice how it feels. What goals and desires does this version of you have? What is your vision for creating a life of purpose and of love? See if anything comes up. You are now shifting your vibration into this new version of you, elevating your frequency. Your higher self, spiritual guides want you to know that every moment you are a new you. Every moment you are a new you. Every moment you are a new you. You can make the choice to be this new you from this point moving forward. And imagine now your higher self, spiritual guides surrounding you, putting their hands on your heart and sending you love. Put your hands over your heart now. And imagine a ball of energy in your heart coming down from the sky, from the tree into the top of your head and into your heart. And imagine this ball of energy spinning faster and faster. And the faster it spins, the more you feel the energy increase in your heart. Whatever you feel is perfect. With every number I count, you will feel this energy increase the vibration of your body. You will feel yourself shift into a new you, having new insights, having a new perspective. 1, 2, doubling that sensation in your heart. 3, more and more love, more and more light. 4, double that sensation again. 5, what is the love you want to receive? Take a deep breath in through your nose now. And with 6, allow that energy to continue to increase. 7, more and more love in your heart. 8, doubling that sensation again. 9, feeling the love increase even more. And with 10, allow yourself to feel this new version of you come on board. Now, as this new version of you, with these qualities that will from now on be with you, thank your higher self and spiritual guides for the assistance. Set the intention now to integrate all of this into your daily life. I'm going to count from 10 to 1. By the time I reach 1, you will feel alert and present to the moment. Back into this room, this space, this here, this now. 10, 9, bringing it back. 8, 7, into your hands and your feet. 6, 5, into your hips, into your neck. 4, 3, into your spine, 2 into your hands, 1 into your feet, and open up your eyes now. And how do you feel? Well, I hope you enjoyed that workshop and meditation, and I hope it helps you see how you can transform your life by changing your self-image now. Now, there are that of other live workshops I'll be doing for complete free in a new community that I've created. It is off Facebook. It is off of Instagram. It is a safe place where people can go to not only join workshops like this, but also connect to the power of group unity meditations, where we can transform our vibration using the power of group energy and the reality that we live in. If you want to join that, I'll go ahead and link that group below. It is free to join, and it's where I do those workshops that then eventually go on YouTube if I feel guided to share it. Now, there is another workshop if you want to check it out. It's on the power of the revision technique. It's just like similar to this in the case that it's a workshop with the meditation. I recommend you watch this one next when you feel guided to. It's on the revision technique, and you can check it out right here. Imagine a technique that allows you to rewrite your script of the past. If you could take the things that have happened in your past that you feel have held you back from experiencing the love, the abundance, and the fulfillment in your life because of these things that happened, imagine having a switch that turns those setbacks into the